Hey guys, it's Pohdoh here, and in this video I'm going to be talking, about a basic, spell rotation against different classes, and this is going to be an opener, how to start a fight, and hopefully how to win it, because mages do heavily rely on burst, so your first couple spells are going to be very important. So in this video I'm just going to be talking about, what kind of spell rotation you should do against different classes, and once again, this is the basic one, so it's not going to be covering everything, so hope you guys enjoy, and without further ado, let's get started. So for this first spell rotation, it's going to be against ranged DPS, and that includes healers, mages, and archers. First of all, if you're going against a healer or an opposing mage, you want to start off with Blaze Prison. Against an archer, you don't need to do Blaze Prison. It's not all that important. I mean, you could start out just for extra damage over time, but I wouldn't recommend it because you would lose the element of surprise. But you use Blaze Prison, then Frostbolt, and then once the Frostbolt, you see the Frostbolt connect, then you use Cyclone to freeze them, and then you do Skyfire, and then you use Shockwave, Shockwave, Shockwave. And then this is my explanation behind it, is the first, you want to put a Blaze Prison on casters. Besides, archers, since they aren't affected by Blaze Prison, they aren't affected by the silence, since they technically have skills and not spells. But the silence, will prevent mages and and healers from actually healing or doing damage, or doing damage back to you. And it'll either force them to use free will, or it's going to force them to run away. And either ways it works out, because if you use free will, that's 1 extra second with delay, which they can't do any casting, which will give you an opportunity to freely cast a Frostbolt. And if they run away, then you can still cast them down. Hopefully you got into a good position by then. And then once the Frostbolt hit, they're going to be slowed down for 4 seconds. And in that time, you want to immediately use Cyclone. And then for Cyclone, it's going to freeze them for 2 seconds. And in that time, there's still going to be 1 second left of slow effect. And then in that, you want to immediately do Skyfire and then Shockwave. And then what will end up happening is that with Burnout, Shockwave will do 50% more damage the first hit. And after that, and by that, they normally should be around half health. If you're going against PvP gear targets and in arena and against PvP gear targets, then it does get a little more complicated. But for the most part, this is going to be your basic opener. This is a very strong opener against people who aren't very well PvP geared, since it's going to be doing a massive amount of burst damage at the very beginning. And I might want to add, in fours, you do not want to actually Cyclone. Cyclone, you only want to do against single target damage. In fours, you want to be doing the max amount of damage, and wasting 1 second casting Cyclone isn't actually the best. So immediately cast Shockwave in fours. Against Sins, it's going to be quite tricky, and a lot of mages, don't know how to actually fight against Sins, on a one-on-one basis. So obviously against a Sin, they're going to have the first hit, and their normal rotation is going to be Sneak, then they're going to use Shadow Strike, which is going to stun you for 4 seconds, and then they're going to use Cutthroat immediately after, since it's not on global cooldown, going to Impale proc, and then to have a free Dagger Stab, and then Shadow Blink you, which is going to stun you for another 3 seconds, and then they're going to stab you maybe one more time, or Shadow Strike, depending on their vigor count. And by doing this, they're doing massive amount of early burst damage. And the only thing I can say about this is that you must have good PvP gear on. If you don't have good PvP gear on, you're gonna die before the stun ends, and it doesn't matter what you do. Now, assuming that you actually survive their initial burst, this is the spell rotation you actually want to do. Now, first you're going to be stunned for, I believe, 7 seconds because of the Shadow Strike and the Shadow Blink. And then while you're doing that, this is a full PvP geared Sin. You want to continuously press Stone Armor, and even while you're stunned, because you want to get up Stone Armor ASAP, because they're going to Cutthroat you, so you're going to be silenced, but you can still cast Stone Armor. Then you use Lightning Shield, Skyfire, Frost Blast, then you're going to use Frost Bolt to put a burn up, then Shockwave, and then Shockwave again. And if you do this, no matter what kind of PvP gear, no matter even if they are geared, it should be enough to take them out, and it's designed so they can't smoke bomb away. But like I said, this is up for debate. If they use free will here, then they're gonna escape and they're gonna kill you anyways. But assuming they don't have free will or anything, or if they're a bad Sin, then this should kill them even if they are PvP geared. So this is slowdown. Stone Armor first is going to continuously stun them, as you can see. Then I have my Flame Revenge up, so then you want to use a Lightning Shield as well, and then Skyfire. And then now, you don't want to do Shockwave now, you want to use Frost Blast. So then as you can see, after he gets Frost Blast, now Lightning starts hitting him. And then now you want to cast Frost Bolt. And the reason you want to cast Frost Bolt is because you want to slow him down, and at the same time you want to get Burnout. And then now, as you can see, I use Frostbolt, got a freeze, and then you Cyclone the freeze for another 2 seconds, and then now I use Shockwave here, and then you could just see me nail him with 5k damage even through the PvP gear. But once again, keep in mind that this that this only works against, you know, an undergeared Sin or a bad Sin. And against a smart Sin like the iPod right here, all he's gonna do is he's gonna stun me for 7 seconds and then he's gonna run away. And then there's absolutely nothing I can do. See, as soon as the stun ended, he just smoke bombed away, recovered some health, and then he's on my team so I can see him, and that's just for demonstrative purposes. And you're not gonna know when he's gonna come back. He put me down to half health already. I had to put up stone armor because if he didn't, he could just rinse and repeat 100 times and still kill me. And with stone armor up, I had a small chance of actually stunning him, but that didn't happen this time. And then as soon as that's over, he just comes back, stuns me for another 7 seconds, and then kills me. And there's honestly nothing I can do about it. That is just the fact that the classes are unbalanced, and in the PvP zone, you honestly should never lose. Honestly, you should never win against a good Sin. So you're really gonna rely on your opponent to be, you know, opponent's mistakes in order to kill them. So yeah. And against a tank, tanks are a little trickier. Probably one of the most difficult class to kill in the entire game, to be perfectly honest. And if you want a blunt answer, just like Sins, to be perfectly honest, you should never win against a good tank, you know, in a 1v1 in the PvP zone. Maybe in arena is possible, but not even in arena. They're even better than they're even harder matchup than Sins if you're going against a good tank. And then all I can say is that you want to keep him away from you. With Sins, you want them close. The reason why you want them close is because it doesn't really matter what distance you get, since they can just shadow blink you and close it anyways. But then with a tank, a lot of the damage comes from shield slaps, and they have to get up close in order to do that. A Sin, you want to have really close to you, and one reason why is because, you know, his auto attacks are going to activate stone armor. With a tank, they attack a lot slower, so stone armor doesn't have much of an impact. Doesn't have as much of an impact. So with a tank, you would just want to continuously kite away. And I'm sorry I don't have any gameplay in the background, but literally all you want to do is you want to frost blast and run away, cast one shockwave and run away and kite. That's the only way you're ever gonna have a chance of killing him in a 1v1 against a geared tank. You know, against an ungeared tank, you know, it's relatively simple. Just, you know, just frostbolt, cyclone, shockwave, skyfire, all that good stuff. But, you know, against a really good tank, against a geared tank, you're gonna have to constantly kite away. You're gonna constantly have to use frost blast, and then while he's chasing after you, use frost bolt. When he charges you, use free will, and then use frost blast and run away. It really is just about keeping your distance. That's really realistically the only way you're gonna be able to kill a good tank. So if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a like. I'm going to be having more of these mage guides in the future, so give it a like, and I'll have the next video up, you know, faster depending on how many likes I get on this and how many views and all that good stuff. So Pohdoh here, rate, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.